Anyways, it's Thomas.
This is Taylor.
This is Ryan.
And we're back again with another 3 Dudes 1 Blog podcast.
That went quite far.
I did it right. I remembered how to do
You
it.
remembered the order. The order of the Phoenix.
This week's podcast is for the week of June 1st. My beer this week is 4 String Brewing Company's, where is it? Hard-hitting American Brass Knuckle.
Brass Knuckle.
Hard-hitting American Pale Ale.
I decided, I
Does
don't
it
know.
have flavor text?
I don't know. I just decided to get a variety of beer this week.
It doesn't have flavor text.
If you don't want me to leave the beer here, I won't leave the beer here.
You can do whatever you want with the beer. This is not my problem. So it's been exactly 21 days since we last posted a video.
My bad.
We can fill you guys in a little
21
bit.
days or 14 days?
I think it's just 14 days.
I thought it was 2 weeks.
21 days since we posted a video.
Oh,
you
wait,
guys
but-
might not have
Yeah,
noticed.
you said the video
the
failed.
we did record 2 weeks ago.
That's what it was.
But
Did you not post anything?
No, it stopped at 23 minutes.
Well,
There's
no, but
point.
I thought I figured this is naivete. I figured the audio was a separate track, so you could just do the podcast.
The
like
audio
usual.
and video are housed in the same track now.
Never mind.
Yeah, it's
That
unfortunate.
explains a lot.
Or at least they were at that point. Now we're trying another.
So I
different-
won
Well-
2 weeks ago, I think, is what it was.
That's why I was confused.
So then
Okay.
really, so what we're going to do then is 10 years from now, when we're super popular, we'll release this and this will be like, remember the good old days.
the lost track.
The lost track of the
The
golden
lost
age.
23 minutes.
Hopefully I didn't just delete it because I was so pissed.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It wouldn't be the first lost podcast. We
It
have.
would-
I
it
think
would
we
not.
have at least one other that
I think we have about
Had-
3 others.
some issue and I just didn't upload it because I think there was one where like I forgot to upload it for a week and I was like, well, let's just record another one. Fuck it.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. There's been one other that has been screwed up, but I think there's been 2 other weeks where we're just like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was confused. I was like, I definitely didn't talk about Call of Duty last time. I was like, that seems so long ago.
I know it does. And it
Seems
was.
so far away.
That was so long ago when the GTX 1080s had just been announced.
And now they're like, purchasable.
yeah, they're out. The 1070s.
Well, they're
They're
sold
already
out.
sold out,
Yeah, I was gonna say
yeah.
they're sold out.
Now the 1070s are about to come out, and
So sidebar, are you going to get a Founders or are you going to wait for EVGA?
Founders is for noobs.
Gasp.
Well, the Founders Edition is paying an extra. In the GTX 1070 version, I think it's only an extra $50.
Yeah.
And
I looked that up, you're right.
And what you get for that is a
Nothing.
special NVIDIA Shroud, and you don't get any of the stuff that the aftermarket ones get. Like, pretty much anybody you buy from is going to have a factory overclock. You're going to have a better warranty. You're going to have this and that and that. The only reason to get a Founders Edition is if you want, like, bragging rights for having a rare card. So
Would it resell more potentially?
I've never bought a
maybe
card.
to a collector in 15 years.
I haven't bought a card that's been released within, 2 years, if that makes sense. Like, usually I'm a couple of years behind, so this will be the first time that I'm, like, going for it.
Jumping in.
Yeah. So this is news to me. I figured first party or no party, but that's cool. Okay, now I know.
Yeah, no, you don't want to get. So you asked about this in chat a while ago,
First party, no party.
and I'll just give you a little
Little tidbit.
story in why
Okay.
NVIDIA's costs more and you don't want it and this and that and whatever.
Okay.
So NVIDIA wants a little bit of that direct money.
Makes sense.
People will pay an extra $100 to, 1, have it early, and 2, have a collector's edition. But NVIDIA is in the same boat as my real company that I work for, and that we sell direct to the customers as well, but our main sales are through distributors, and NVIDIA's main sales are through OEMs. If NVIDIA prices their card competitively and features it with
No one
competitive
carries their
features
card?
with competitive features, then they're going to be eating their main customers.
So their cards
sales.
are then therefore stereotypically overpriced.
Yes.
Because
if you're
they
buying
have
it
to be.
directly from NVIDIA, it's going to be overpriced and not
You're
really
buying
worth
the
it.
brand, not the card.
Yeah, I mean, if you buy anybody, who makes an NVIDIA card, you get the brand. But so what theoretically could happen is I'm NVIDIA. I start competitively pricing my cards. I start factory overclocking them. I say, oh, hey, look, we made a revision that nobody else has. We're the only ones that get this special version. EVGA, whoever, whatever, everybody's going to say, all right, screw you. We're going to just sell AMD now.
Yeah.
Which
would
has
be a
happened.
problem.
I mean, this was like a long time ago, and it's not because of this, but graphics card OEMs have switched from AMD to NVIDIA because they didn't like, the way
Like
things
Sapphire,
were going.
right? I think.
Sapphire.
I want to say they used
BFG was one. BFG also went under. But like a lot of companies used to sell both NVIDIA and AMD.
Yep. And
now they've pretty much split off.
chosen their camp,
Yeah.
if you will.
So that's why NVIDIA's is more expensive and not as good.
Now you've learned something today. Now we can just talk.
Now you know.
The more you know.
Yay.
Don't beat your kids.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I might actually end up buying a 1070 like at launch, just assuming that I can raise the capital to pay for it. Because the 1070 is going to be like the 1080. If you don't get one on launch, you're going to be waiting 2 months.
You mean you're thinking about getting a Founders, or do you just mean when the manufacturer,
EVGA
when
launches
yours,
theirs. Get theirs day one.
I've heard a lot about Strix, and yet I've never heard of that company until the last 2 weeks.
What about what?
Strix. I think that's a separate company. STRIX.
They make graphics cards?
Apparently.
I've never even heard of them.
They were on a chart I saw. Apparently I saw a lot of comments being like, "Oh, wait for Strix's card." Just like, who the
They
heck
might
is
be
that?
new. They might be some awesome new company.
I thought I knew everything. But I don't. Yeah, that's fine.
That's
Sidebar over. Anyway.
Sidebar over. Yep. Strix. Oh, Asus.
Oh.
Is Strix.
So that's just now. Are you saying it's just the Asus Strix brand, or is it they
guess.
just call it the Strix card?
Strix might be like their like name for their like
Kind of like how
EVGA
ATI used to exist, but now it's just AMD.
Well, that happened because AMD bought ATI.
Oh, I thought they were always a subsidiary of some sort.
No.
Oh, well.
ATI was a separate company that was purchased by AMD and then
I'm just going to be quiet now because I
Sucked
feel
up.
like the more we talk about this, the more I'm just going to be like learning, and that's going to take time.
No.
Let's be honest.
Strix is probably a branding. Like EVGA has, you can buy a EVGA GTX 1080 or you could buy, presumably it'll come out, an EVGA GTX 1080 ACX, which is their
Like
revision with
better
their
version.
their custom blower and
The fancy stuff.
like that. Yeah. So that is that.
So anyway,
Yeah. So I won officially in the official timeline.
in the
I won
timeline of the
last
world
week.
you all live in.
And we were like, what? We recorded like maybe like a day or two after Overwatch came out.
Yep.
I think.
Oh, is that the one that was lost?
No.
No, yeah, no.
The last time we recorded was the week before Overwatch came out. We didn't record last
Wow.
week because
Because I was.
it was the day after Overwatch launched, and we were just gonna we said we were gonna record while playing Overwatch, and then that didn't happen.
Yeah. Then we just played Overwatch. So Overwatch
Yeah.
literally just came out last Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it's been out for months,
Oh my god.
but it's only been about a week and 2 days.
Yeah, I feel like I've spent so much time investing in the Overwatch community.
Is there a way to check like play hours on Overwatch?
I don't know.
There
There's
should be.
probably a way to do it through your Battle.net account.
I wonder if you can just like /played in the chat, like if that still works.
Did that work in World of Warcraft?
Yeah, that's how I checked in World of Warcraft.
I
back
tried
in the day.
/dance and it didn't work.
Well, I'm gonna assume that one would probably be a bit harder.
What? It's just as easy as it is in World of Warcraft.
I don't know.
So I guess, wow, yeah. Overwatch is out now, and
That's a thing.
the world is taken.
Losing their mind.
Yeah.
Not opposed to the Taken Spring. It's actually just Taken.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Still today, and I think this is how Reddit works. On your top bar of Reddit, it sorts them by most popular on the left, right?
What, for like your subscribed
Yeah,
subreddits
for your
or like?
subs. Because like my subs move around all the time.
I
on the
think it
top.
might just be like recent visits or most visited. I don't know if it's the fact that the subreddit itself is trending, as in it's very popular, or it's the fact that you go there that much. It depends, I think, because they're using RES. Are you using the enhancement suite or just Reddit?
I don't use any plugins.
I think then it's most recent,
I don't know if it's. I don't know because I usually
or rather
like
the other. I think
my
it's the
most
trending
my mostly visited subreddit is Cincinnati, and Cincinnati never shows up for me because it's
Yeah.
like the least popular subreddit I'm on.
Then I would imagine it's probably trending.
If that is true, Overwatch for like the last week has been the number one subreddit that I
Number one.
subscribe to.
Well, that's because what was it? Wasn't it the day it came out for a while? It was Reddit.
Yeah, it was
Like it
more
was
popular
75%
than the
of its
front page.
traffic.
Yeah.
I heard that the Overwatch subreddit already surpassed StarCraft subreddit in subscribers.
Yeah, well,
And StarCraft's been out for like
A while.
years.
StarCraft has...
StarCraft was the first or the last new IP before Overwatch, and that was like 17 years ago, right?
I guess. I mean, StarCraft was
New,
1997.
completely
I was
new
gonna say
IP.
I would say arguably there's newer things than that, but yeah, you're not wrong in the
But,
sense
like,
that
World of
everything they've come out with
Warcraft
is
was
just
based on Warcraft. and-
Hearthstone is just based on Warcraft. Everything else has been sequels. You're not wrong, actually.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I guess that's actually this really is their newest, like their well.
That's
And
like
the first
20
new
years
IP
ago.
since StarCraft, I'm pretty sure is what I read.
That's wild. So, yeah.
Wow.
Well, the thing about StarCraft,
There's two things you learned today.
and I might just be... I consider myself in the hardcore PC category. Or at least...
Air quotes.
or at least I like feel like I understand what's going on in that community. And other than like when StarCraft 2 first launched, I feel like StarCraft 2 has like a high pedigree,
Yeah,
but
but-
nobody really cares about it. Unless
Except
you're a
for
hardcore
Koreans.
unless you're a hardcore StarCraft player,
Yeah.
you don't care about StarCraft because the only people that play StarCraft are hardcore StarCraft players.
Because everyone knows their place in StarCraft.
Yeah, there's
You
like-
either know you're good at it, or you know you're not.
I remember messing around on my friend's version of StarCraft, like just solo versus PC.
2 or Brood War.
Probably Brood War.
Yeah. I remember playing the campaign of StarCraft 2 vanilla, jumping into the multiplayer. I did all my skirmishes and I got gold ranking. And then I never played after my ranking matches because I didn't want to lose my gold rank.
I remember never playing StarCraft online, but I do remember playing Warcraft 3 online for about 3 games, realizing this wasn't going to happen, and then immediately spending the rest of my days in the custom games because that's where all the fun was anyway.
Yeah. RTSs have such a high entry level of skill to like be able to play
There is
online.
a curve.
And I love RTSs.
They're fun. They're
Like
great.
they're super fun if you're playing against like your friends who are like equally as bad as you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what we should do is I bet we can get Supreme Commander for like $2 on GOG,
Okay.
and we should have Supreme Commander LAN Party. Do you
I've
know what
never
that is?
no. Well, I've heard the name, but I've
Supreme
never played
Commander is like a game from 2006, 2007. It's the spiritual successor to Total Annihilation from 1997, and one of the big like pushes of Total Annihilation was the first RTS that had 3D units. They weren't sprites.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And Supreme Commander like took that to the next level, where in most RTSs you have like your normal zoom and then you can zoom in and out just a little bit. In Supreme Commander you can zoom all the way out to look at the entire globe.
That sounds kind of dope.
Or well, no, that's oh shit.
Is that
that's not Supreme
Planetary?
Commander. That's Planetary Annihilation.
That's what I was about to
But
say.
Supreme Commander has something similar. You zoom out really far. But like Supreme Commander, a match will be like you build a 1,000 unit army of air, land, and sea, and like giant UFOs and walkers that shoot laser beams. And then like when you're playing with noobs, everybody spends 45 minutes building up their army, and then you push all the armies into this big battle in the middle and watch your graphics cards blow up.
Because they just watch the computers melt.
Yeah, and you just have like this 10-minute battle, and whoever wins wins. It's really fun.
That sounds pretty.
All right.
How did
Break
we
number
even,
2.
How did we get off that far?
I don't know what
Overwatch,
happened.
Thomas. Where are you going with Overwatch?
Yeah, let's get back to Overwatch.
So everybody loves Overwatch right now, but
Very rose tinted.
I felt like it had been longer than a week.
Yeah, holy shit! It's only
Like
been a week.
over the weekend, I started to hit the point in Overwatch, and I think we've all hit it now. Taylor, you were just complaining about it before we started recording that I've hit that skill ceiling where I haven't hit the skill ceiling. I've hit the point where
you've hit the
I
level.
cannot deal with people that are not good. You need to be above a certain level of good for me to even want to play with you.
Or at least cooperative, right? I'll accept a body. You know what I mean? Like I'll accept someone that'll be the tank and just soak up some damage a little bit and be a little bit of a distraction, so long as they'll at least play the objective.
Yeah, I can't. It makes me so angry. I've been in so many matches with Ryan, and not that Ryan is one of the ones that's doing it, but we'll play on like fucking Hollywood. We'll get the payload unlocked, and then the whole team just runs off to the fucking town. I'm like, hey guys, there's a fucking payload here. That's the mission.
Remember.
Let's go do the mission. They're like, hey, shut up. We're just killing people. I'm like, all right, that's not the point. That's not how you play this fucking game.
Because I hate to tell you, they're going to respawn in 2 seconds, and they'll probably beat you after your, 2 or 3 engagements, and then you're dead, and then you have to walk all the way back over here, and they're just going to walk 10 feet and kill us.
One thing that really annoyed me last night was we were playing a capture or an offensive defensive capture, or whatever you want to call that.
King of the Hill.
Not King of the Hill, where it's neutral, but like where one team's defending and one team's attacking.
Oh, okay. So like control points or whatever.
Yeah, control point. And we had a guy who picked... We played defense first, and we won. And he was a decent Widowmaker.
Oh, wait, yeah. Yeah, and then he did not
and then
change.
Offense comes around, and we're on offense. He picks Widowmaker.
And you're like...
Thomas and I say to ourselves, we literally said this. We're like, we'll let this go. But it was like, if this isn't working, we're going to call this guy out. And we need to say something to this guy so we don't lose this game because he sticks his Widowmaker the whole time. And he was an average Widowmaker, but by no means like world-class sniper deserving of like...
He could do it.
Maining Widowmaker, and I'm going to be an offensive Widowmaker. And we ended up losing because he refused to switch from Widowmaker, and we didn't have enough offense to push their Bastion and Torbjorn off of the second hill.
And somehow she also never killed them.
Yeah, and she's also never killed them.
Also, I'm not sure, you probably said this, but it was Temple of Anubis.
Oh, Temple of Anubis.
The easiest fucking defense map in the game.
Yeah.
The second point is.
Yeah, the second point is.
And so they set up, like when you come out of the spawn in Temple of Anubis, you make the left turn, and then the capture point's right there. But there's that little wall right there. So originally they set up on the pillar, Torbjorn and Bastion did, and I think she probably did kill them off that. But then they're like, okay, well that's not going to work, so we're just going to sit behind this wall.
Never went around the wall.
Never went around the wall.
Nope.
Black Widowmaker just stood back in the hallway and tried to snipe people. And I'm just going to stand on the hallway and try to snipe people. Not try to go to the capture point at all. Not do anything. But that's the third sidebar, and we need to actually talk about Overwatch.
No, that's the point.
Oh.
That's part of my point. But so do we think that Overwatch... I am talking specifically about Overwatch as an esports title. Do we think Overwatch is going to be the next Counter-Strike and League of Legends? Do we think Overwatch will not actually strike that? Is Overwatch the next Rocket League? Because Rocket League, I would contend, is rising faster than League of Legends and Counter-Strike did when they first came out. As far as the competitive scene
I think
goes.
it has potential. It'll be really interesting to see, and so this is, I think, part of our problem, is to see what happens when ranked play gets launched. Because right now we have these teams of 4 or 5 or even 6 guys playing against a team of potentially randoms. Where that team of 6 people probably would be running in some kind of ranked play. And so you end up with these completely lopsided matches because one team is using at least some kind of teamwork and the other team isn't. So I think to address our first problem is that I think when ranked play goes away, I think quick play will get a lot better. But I'm interested to see how the esports scene develops it has a lot of hype around it, and obviously the game's great, and it has a lot of potential. And I saw a video today that said there was already, like, on launch weekend, there was, like, around the world, like, 10 for money Overwatch tournaments, like, around various places in the United States and Europe and Asia.
Mm-hmm.
So there's already the developing esports team, or esports scene, but there aren't any. I haven't seen any like actual professional teams as we know them of like the big dogs of like TSM, CLG,
Like
whatever.
a league team.
Yeah, like a professional team in another esports that have bought any Overwatch teams. But I think part of the problem again is
You gotta wait.
how
and
do we
see.
know who is like a ranked, is like a deserving
good,
an
yeah.
esport or like a professional team? Like there's no way to tell who a professional team is.
Yeah.
Because like you can say,
It's
well,
even
I have a level 100, but like that's just gameplay. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't prove anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to say we have to wait a month and a half till whenever the ranked mode launches, and then we can see. Obviously, the game is set up the way, and I've read different things that say Blizzard very much wants it to be a successful esport, and they're going to back it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they've also put a lot of money behind Heroes of the Storm, and
And
I
Hearthstone,
don't
kind of.
see Heroes of the Storm that successful right now.
Well,
I think Hearthstone is in a better position, but Hearthstone is is a unique game. I think Blizzard moved into, well, unique in that there was no other digital, like big digital card game
No, yeah.
or whatever. That's like Heroes of the Storm is obviously a MOBA clone, and that is a very hard space to set up an esport and be competitive to what League had already built.
mm-hmm.
Overwatch is obviously in a significantly different position in that there aren't any there's competitors, but there's no direct competitor.
Right.
Of like, this is this.
They all kind of have their own hook.
Yeah.
They're all their own little, I don't want to say gimmick, but I think hook's the right word. They all have their own little flavor of the same genre. But they're all unique enough that putting them side by side, it's hard to compare them against each other.
So I guess I'm tempted, or I'm hesitant to say this is going to be in a CS:GO or a Leagues level in 3 years. I have my doubts I'm not sure why, but I'm just hesitant. But I think part of me might just be basing that on the last game Blizzard put a lot of money behind was Heroes, and I think I saw something today that Heroes launched 1 year ago, like today.
Uh-huh.
That
Well-
like Heroes hasn't gotten really anywhere. But then if you compare it, I mean, I didn't really think about Hearthstone isn't that much older, and like I would say Hearthstone is
Moving.
probably like easily in the top 5 of like esports games right now, like competitive games. So I don't want to just say Blizzard's most recent game is failing when like their second most recent game that's only slightly older is like a huge success.
I would say that I agree with you, that I'm a little concerned about... I agree with the sentiment that we're definitely going to have to wait for ranked to come out to really be able to judge it for whether or not it's going to be an esport. Because the biggest problem with casual is that we don't know exactly how the matchmaking works. At least I haven't looked it up, and I'd have to assume there's skill-based matchmaking somewhere in there.
It's definitely skill-based.
Which would make sense. But at the same time, that means, sooner or later, even casual can kind of feel like ranked, right? In the sense that once you start playing good enough people, you have to have cooperation. You have to have at least some form of teamwork to really get through these things. And you don't always have a team of 6 in casual, right? Like, you might just want to play.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's casual play. The rubber band is like,
It's harsh.
for better or for worse, I actually kind of like it, and that it's pretty
Yeah.
flingy because like you'll play a match where you get demolished and then it's like, oh well, these guys suck. Let's push them back. And then you play like 4 teams that you demolish.
And they're like, okay, now you can play that hard team again.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice. But I mean, that's not really my biggest concern about it. My biggest concern is actually the fact, I mean, it's interesting that you bring up the fact that Heroes of the Storm, they were really trying to push as an esport.
See, I didn't see that. I
See,
didn't think.
yeah, see,
I mean-
where I'm going is the fact that it's definitely a competitive game like that. There's no question around the fact that you can have tournaments around this game. Like it's very like LoL. It's very like the other MOBAs. You can do that. There's no problem with people doing that. You can throw a tournament over any game. But the game was kind of designed to be less intense and less hardcore. I mean, there's like, for instance, the thing I always go back to when people ask me like, I don't know if I want to play Heroes of the Storm. League of Legends was pretty awful. Well, if you remember, there's like a half-second delay in everything you do because they don't want people to be able to make those split-second plays that they'd be able to make in League of Legends that are just absurd, right? Like
I
those
mean,
moments that you flash.
The only thing that I want to say, like, to counter your point is, like, Heroes of the Storm has, like, the Heroes of the Dorm tournament that is on ESPN. So, like,
which is why I'm not
I don't
saying
wanna
it
say,
can't
like,
be an esport.
it's not, I'm not saying, like, it's a failure. I mean, I've watched Heroes of the Storm tournament on ESPN.
Me too.
Like, I've actually watched it and sat down and watched a match. So, like, I'm not saying it's a complete bust.
But the following's not
But
really
like
there.
your argument, and you didn't really argue for it, but saying like I didn't know they're pushing for it. I think they want Heroes of the Storm to be more than what it is right now.
Well, they probably definitely want that because I think they see the writing on the wall for a while. But where I'm really trying to go is the fact that, so let's say ranked play comes in, let's assume that happens and we start to wait for a meta, quote unquote, to evolve and people to figure out what heroes people play and what heroes people don't play. But the problem that I have at the moment with how people are going to figure out the esports scene for Overwatch is that the game is kind of designed as, the biggest mechanic of the game is the fact that you can change your hero at any time, right? You can go to a different strat, you can change up what you're doing, you can deal with anything that gets thrown at you. Where, like you were saying earlier, like how are you going to define the meta? How are you going to define how you choose a good player? How are you going to define where these teams come from? To a degree, it's probably going to come down to the people that work the best together are the people that can play the best together, right? Because people that can make those changes and deal with things that adapt.
And I think that's potentially a benefit that Overwatch has, and what makes it even more unique
Like
is
a
that
bigger pool, right?
You won't have like you have to be even broader skill based in Overwatch than like League.
Like a jack of all trades.
You
kind of
can't
thing.
just say I'm AD carry, I'm support or whatever. You can be like, yeah, I'm a support based character.
But I can branch out.
I also can branch into defense. And I'm sure we're going to see people like specialize in things like this is like people are going to be like one person's probably going to designate themselves as a tank and one person's going to designate themselves as attack characters and offensive.
But that doesn't mean it's all they're going to play.
But like you're going to and League is like this. I mean, you have your specifics, but those like everybody knows there's like 2 or 3 good characters. But I feel like in Overwatch, you're going to have to be very good at like 3 or 4 characters and pretty good at probably like 7 to 8 characters.
Other characters,
Yeah.
even. Like not even the same characters, like other characters.
And so I think we're going to see like you said, the meta isn't this overarching thing over the entire game. The meta is whatever that individual match is.
Yeah.
Like the meta is literally match to match about how the teams develop.
Which is in no way a bad thing. But my only thought about it is the fact that it's going to take a while for people to be able to cement themselves in these places. It's going to take a while for those teams to really be able to come together because of the fact that you've got to be so decent at all of these things. You've got to have enough people. Like these may not even be 6-person teams is what I'm saying. Like we look at the league teams and they're always 5 people, right? Because you always have to have one person in each role and then you're done. Whereas I think for an Overwatch team, it's almost kind of understandable to think like you might have 7 or 8 people and then maybe you can like switch people out between matches or something like that. That would be crazy, but I can't see that being too crazy considering that since you can switch between everyone, maybe for one match you want to have a bit more of an offensive focus. Maybe for the next match you might like offense, attack, and defend, right, for each of those things. People got to be good at different roles in just based on what game type you're playing. So because of like what you said, the meta is always kind of like what's happening that match, what's going on. So I wonder if it's like just going to take longer for those teams to be able to form and for those people to be able to actually get on top of all this kind of stuff, because they're also going to be coming out with new heroes. They're also going to be making changes to each of them in terms of like nerfs or buffs or anything like that. So there's going to be a lot. It's going to be very fluid
I mean,
for a little
League
bit.
is constantly, adding characters to the roster.
No, yeah, and they're also then usually their buffs and nerfs are way more intense than most people usually think they need to be.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I don't think...
I think 3 years, what you said, I think 3 years is a good idea. I think that's a good estimate because I think that's how long it's going to take for the Steam engine to really get going and Blizzard and really get some of those big
I mean,
tournaments and stuff set
Hearthstone's
up.
close to 3 years old, I think.
Is it 3 years old? Man, no, it might be. He might be right.
I don't know. We've been playing for a while. I just hope that there's a vibrant... So one of the great things about Counter-Strike, and I'm sure League of Legends is better at this than it was when I quit playing.
Back in the day.
But every time I've ever played competitive Counter-Strike or tried to play competitive Counter-Strike,
Yeah.
there's always kind of like, I think soccer, there's like a breadth of leagues that support all levels of skill.
Okay.
Like if you want to play competitive Counter-Strike, you can play at pretty much any level. Like you can be kind of okay, and there's a whole league for that.
Really?
Yeah. There's like the breadth of the competitive community is very large. Like I hope Overwatch has a space for people like us who can play for a few hours every few days and still be able to put a team together and play in tournaments and have fun and feel like you're a competitive player. Because like I really hope that I want to play some competitive Overwatch without letting it drain my
Signups
life.
are on the website.
Mm-hmm.
You're just kidding.
Yeah, but I don't know. I kind of feel like
I mean, you may not be wrong. That might be a good way to put it.
the feeling that I like when I felt it, that I was like, okay, like even people were like matched up with, like we're matched up with a full team of people. We got 6 people
Yeah.
and we're still not getting there. At that point is when I felt like how many people are going to get to this point and say,
I'm
you know
done.
what? I'm just going to go back to
It's not for me.
Rocket League, League of Legends, whatever game, whatever other game I'm going to play. Or if I'm a single player, if I'm somebody who like Overwatch is my first foray into an esports title, go back to playing The Witcher or Halo or something, because
Or Halo.
like that's
Technically an esports title.
there are certainly different like walls you have to jump over for every esport, but like that first wall of having to like realizing that you need to
It can just be fun to
that
compete.
realizing that you need a group of people
Oh, yeah.
that you can play with and rely on.
Yep.
Like I hit that in a week. Is
Yeah.
that like
Which is
that
real
kind
quick.
of, that maybe worries me a little bit, that maybe there'll be a lot of drop off
Well, I mean, do you think...
from the competitive
Here's a good
scene.
question, because I didn't... It's hard to put into words, but I didn't really notice it until I was playing Heroes of the Storm. The first few times that it was, the betas were happening, and when it first came out, when I was first playing it, and I was really only playing it with my friends, because it was casual enough that you could play, to win, but obviously at a certain point you can't. You got to have enough people and enough skill just like this. But just like that and in Overwatch, when you first log into the game, it's basically just the same chat pane that you have in WoW, right? Is on the right-hand side. And there's a general chat, and there's left-hand side. In Heroes, it's on the right. In any case, there's the same chat pane in WoW where you basically just have people typing in general and talking with each other. It's just a stream of anything. You know what I mean? And when you look at League, very recently they completely rehauled their solo queue system in the sense that you could choose roles. You could choose goals for when you're queuing up for those teams. And then even when you get in the game, you at least know people have some semblance of, this is my role. This will be what I do. This is how I will support the team. Whereas in these 2 examples of Heroes and Overwatch, it's basically just, pick of the litter. You press the button and you hope the people you get are going to listen, or you hope they're even going to talk.
West.
Yeah, and it's like, I feel like if they might put some tools in to either A, make it easier to communicate with people before you even get in the game, or B, make it easier to, well, arguably the easiest way to communicate is, I don't know, talk to each other in the minute or so before the game starts. But at the same time, maybe give you those abilities to say, I would like to play a support character. And then maybe they'll pair you with people that are choosing other roles, or like maybe just pair you with people that are going to work with you to a degree.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe that's one of the things they decided to hold competitive play back for, was to build a system.
Maybe it is. But and I mean,
yeah, that would be really great if you could queue up based on your role.
And I mean,
hadn't even thought of that.
And at the same time, it is kind of ludicrous to be, like we just said, it's been a week and we're already being like, yo, where are these features at?
The only problem with that would be, and I don't know if we want to start wrapping this up soon, is the game is so built, and this goes back to the meta of switching characters and all that.
How are you going to choose a role to
like,
start, right? Yeah.
Will Blizzard then have to define what is the quote-unquote perfect balance team? Because if you're having 6 players...
I think if they change the queue a little
right.
bit, I think if they change the queue a little bit, it would make sense. Because even when you're picking your heroes, they give you those suggestions for each map, right? Like, not enough snipers, too few damage, need more support.
I mean, they already have that of, like, where they recommend things. But, like, I haven't figured out what the balance... Like, what are they saying? Is it, like, 2 attack, 2 tanks, 1 defense, and 1 support?
Yeah, because there was a couple games we played.
2 attack, 2 defense, 1 tank, 1
where
support.
we had no organization. Like, people just chose, like, we had 4 damage dealers and then 1 Symmetra.
We would be reliant on whatever Blizzard says, okay, well, the offensive team needs 2 tanks and 2 offense and 1 defense and 1 support.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if I say I want defense, then I can pick only the defense characters?
Right.
Like, is that what it then locks it in as?
I mean,
and then like, does the attack, or is the defense team different in that the defense is like, well, because you're on defense, you only need 1 attack and 2 defense and 2 tanks and a healer, or a support.
No, yeah. Those are big questions. And I mean, I'm just spitballing around the fact that what Thomas said around, it's been a week and we're already at that point that I feel like I need to at least have some organization.
I do agree that there being some way of the league model of like queuing in with a support, like with a role, but like there are 5 roles and there's 5 players in the league. Unfortunately, and Overwatch isn't that way. And there's
4 and 6 players.
There's 4 classes, but then there's even differences in the classes, in that like they say
I might choose healer, but I could be a Zenyatta instead of a Lucio.
No defense and no sniper. If I pick Mei, I fulfill one of those roles. If I pick Hanzo, I fulfill both of those things. I'm the sniper and I'm the defense. Or whatever. So there's a lot more complications for Overwatch that they would have to implement, rather than just the MOBA. Okay, well, I'm a healer, I'm an ad carry, I'm a blah blah blah.
Which, I mean, that's not necessarily bad. I mean, who knows? Maybe the community, like you're saying, maybe the community is just going to blow up about it. But who knows?
Yeah. Well, if you want to play with us on Overwatch, tweet at us at TDOB Podcast. PM me your BattleNet. It's not PMs. DM me your BattleNet. DM us your BattleNet. All of us check the Twitter.
So much that it hurts.
Yeah, I feel like we can probably move on at this point, because now I just want to play Overwatch.
Now we just want to go play Overwatch, so we're going to race through these next 2 topics.
So Thomas wins, we're done. No, okay. My topic can be pretty quick then, because I'm not even sure necessarily where I want to take this, but...
Which means we're going to ramble about it for a while.
Actually, yeah. I have a problem with that, but that's fine. So actually, I kind of figured out where I wanted to take this. And it hit me, and it's funny that you mentioned the fact that, like, this is the first time in a while that you've been like, I'm going to do this. Like, we're going to get in this esports title. We're going to make a team.
Yeah.
We're going to have some fun with this. You know what I mean? Because...
Well, I was pretty hyped about the division, and
here we are.
I mean, we grouped up.
We know how that ended.
We grouped all the way through the division. I mean, we stuck it out. We do what we said we were going to do.
It's on hold.
Well, we completed it.
Arguably, it was done, but it's on hold. We're just going to wait. And so I was thinking literally today, because I saw news posted about Battlefield. It might have been yesterday, actually. News was posted that at least the PC version is going to have like 64-player lobbies and stuff like that. They just kind of made some technical... Yeah, they made some technical announcements, which for me was actually a big deal, because for the longest time I've been a console gamer, in the sense that was what I played. That's my main gaming thing.
Dirty peasant.
And well, I mean, I've also had a tower now for a few years,
make me switch
but I
consoles,
haven't really played a lot of PC games. I would say I usually pick up the random Steam games, right? I don't play like very like Counter-Strike. I stray away from, even though I technically got carried through a tournament once, but that's fine. So when Battlefield made that announcement, I was actually like, oh, that sounds great. That sounds fun. It's been a long time since I've really gotten into a pretty, like, really into a shooter. Like, I've bought the last few Call of Duties, but those are basically just because I needed some, as we put it, comfort food for the nights where I just wanted to shoot some things and turn off the brain for a little bit. It would be fun, and I'm super excited, one, that they're going back to the World War I thing, which is going to be great. But then, two, this will be the first time that I'm buying a current gen graphics card. This will be the first time that I'm really trying to put a little bit more effort into having my PC be kind of my main thing, because as we go to these LANs, I've realized my laptop doesn't cut it. I don't necessarily just want to bring a console either, so probably just
You
the
need
PC.
to get yourself a sweet laptop.
A sweet laptop. Yeah, no kidding. My event is out of date. But anyway, so I was actually getting super hyped about the fact that Battlefield was coming out, and I was looking into it as like, this will be my next like thing that I get into besides Overwatch. This will be something that I can kind of come back to where I don't really use mouse and keyboard and stuff like that. Usually for like, even for Battlefield 4 when I played it on the PC, hooked in the controller. Like I'm super weird.
Controller.
Dirty peasant.
I'm super weird. But
You're
I'm
like this guy over here who plays
Guess who plays
Overwatch,
Overwatch
with a
with the
fucking
controller?
I didn't even know that for the first 4 hours we played. Like, all of a sudden you're just like, yeah, take the controller out, Ryan,
Okay.
because you missed something. And I was just like, wait, what? Like,
You
he's
have
doing
to
what now?
admit,
You do fine.
my setup is much more convenient with the controller.
Oh, no, it is.
Yeah.
The way you
Well,
described
you
it.
play
makes
on a
sense.
couch.
The laptop is in front of me, like
Yeah.
where Taylor is. I'd be hunched over, looking like this. Like reaching over.
Yeah, that's
I
how
can
you're
just hold-
supposed to play
I
PC
can
games.
just hold the
You're supposed to
controller and
T-Rex.
sit back all the way back here, and be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna play my.
Yeah, I don't blame
Playing
you.
some
That
Overwatch.
does sound a lot more convenient.
If
So,
I go to a LAN
yeah.
and I'm sitting at a desk, I'll play on a mouse and keyboard.
Then you'll be so screwed up because
Mouse
you won't.
ambidextrous.
Probably, but
He'll be
You'll be so stuck. I mean, you should just try
Controller
mouse and
dexterous? I don't
keyboard
even
for a
know.
LAN
I-
party, and
I
you'll realize
ferret-
how much better it is.
I Roadhog hooked a ferret out of the sky last night with my
arguably
with
the
controller.
players, the
So,
heroes he uses
Yeah,
don't
one good
really
hook.
need the precision. Like Widowmaker, you can't
you
use
gonna
it.
take that slam?
Well, no, because Roadhog's got a shotgun, right? You don't
Yeah.
need to be right on the freaking character to hit him with the shotgun. As long as he's in your
I ain't
vicinity,
over here
you'll get
trying to
hit.
be some wicked no scoper with like Widowmaker, just like try to pull
You
these.
can't no scope with Widowmaker. It's an
Oh,
assault
whatever.
rifle.
Whatever. The point is, it doesn't have to be that bad. Anyway, so I'm not necessarily sure where I wanted to get your input on that, so much as I just wanted to kind of be like, I'm super pumped. This is going to be great. #hype. But are there games that's like, so you're super excited about Overwatch because that's kind of what you want to get into, right? I feel like you've been playing some very random games recently, at least in the sense that I wouldn't have ever have pegged you to get The Witcher 3, and while you technically haven't finished it yet, you still get into it every once in a while. You're like,
Well-
I'm going to do that again.
Have you ever gone back in and started playing since I started playing and telling you to go back like every week?
Or is this one of those Grand Theft Auto 5 heists thing?
Hey, I beat the entire GTA 5
you beat the
campaign.
whole vanilla
beat
storyline.
the-
And they
entire
complained, they
game.
complained for 3 months
Hey.
about no heists.
When I was playing GTA 5, GTA Online didn't even exist.
Back in my day,
Get off my lawn, kids.
you couldn't get a high-rise apartment.
I don't know.
Because there were no high rises.
There's a Destiny announcement next week. To
Oh
get
yeah, that's
hyped
pretty. That's
about.
exciting too. I'm excited for it.
There's. I mean, Overwatch is probably the game that I'm going to be playing a lot this year. Until whenever the Destiny update
Nope.
comes out later this year. I mean, there's nothing in between now and then. And I mean, I guess Battlefield won't come out till later this fall as well.
Probably, if not
Um,
even later. Who knows?
so I don't know. There's not. I guess I mean
Neo.
the
Well-
big game that I'm hyped about, I'd say, is Overwatch, and then I mean obviously I'm gonna be hyped for the Destiny update because make Destiny great again.
Because
Great
Destiny.
again. I hope
Yeah.
that's a tagline.
I mean, by the time the new Destiny update comes out, I'll have you
Knee-deep.
neck deep in competitive Overwatch, and you'll be like, I can't take time off practice to play Destiny.
Oh,
So-
I can.
So yeah, obviously this topic's really light, but I'll just put a bow on it and say I'm interested in actually the fact that I had no idea that I suppose Counter-Strike was, I suppose, accepting of multiple levels of skill play. I felt like either you could play competitive Counter-Strike or you could not. Like it's like chess. Yeah, I know how to shoot a gun, but I do not know how to play Counter-Strike.
I think it's interesting that you're like so hyped to like build another desktop.
Well, I'm not going
Or
to
basically
necessarily
not build, but like rebuild or like revamp.
because
I watched you. What was that, like junior year of college?
yeah,
build your desktop
get
together.
that put together. It's ugly.
and
It
that's-
needs a facelift.
That was interesting. And these new cards are really interesting to me to like potentially build one, which isn't going to happen. But
Well, you
I
could
like to
just get
say
an
it
AMD
is.
card. You could just get an AMD card.
And
You
put
could
it in
get
my
a
laptop.
Poop MD card.
It is only $200.
Or I can wait for a year from now when they release the 1075M and I can slap that in my desk or my laptop.
One, that's not how it works. Two,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
that actually
unfortunately.
sidebars me to NVIDIA announced that the power usage and temperatures of the new Pascal chips are so good, they're not making mobile variants
They're
of
just
the
gonna put 'em in
1070
there?
and 1080. They're just putting 1070s and 1080s in laptops.
Jesus.
Oh, you're just going to want a new computer, sir. Anyway, so I was just interested in the fact that you mentioned that because being, as we said earlier, we're going to have to be those guys that can play Overwatch a few hours every other day or something like that. Not exactly like the guy who hit level 100 by playing 30 hours or 13 hours a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting because we're going to have to figure out how to split time between not only the fact that if we want to go get that deep in Overwatch, but there might be other games that come out and there might be other things we want to do. So it'll be interesting to see like how that works out. I
Only
guess.
other game I got for this year is Neo. Neo
Oh,
and
that's what you're
Overwatch.
saying. Every time you said that, I was thinking like,
PlayStation.
yeah, the
Neo.
PlayStation Neo, but you
Scorpio.
mean NIOH. Neo.
Yeah.
Oh.
I feel like I'm the one person in the world that's really excited for Neo.
Apparently, it's going to be at E3.
Everybody complained about the Neo demo.
Only
except
the
for me.
Japanese. Those Japanese casuals.
No, if you looked at the Neo survey, the Japanese people were more negative on it than the Americans.
No, yeah, that's what I was saying. Is the Japanese were saying that it's too difficult and that
It's
they didn't
dirty
like
casuals.
it and everything.
They
It's
didn't play
easy.
the Lion King.
It's really easy. I need to replay Dark Souls 3. Like I always
It's like every other week, Thomas thinks, I need to replay that Dark Souls game.
Overwatch,
You just
Thomas,
choose one.
Overwatch. We don't think about Dark Souls
Stick with
anymore.
Overwatch. You're going to be gone for like 3 weeks if you get back into Dark Souls 3.
I booted up Dark Souls 2 like yesterday and played it for like an hour, and I was just like, oh my god.
It's so good.
Yeah, this
I
is the
guess
bad
that's
one.
my
and it's still
equivalent
so
to like
good.
when I booted up Destiny like on Sunday and ran the Prison of Elders 6 times in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still happens. I totally forgot to do
Dude,
anything with Destiny last week.
My Titan is up to like 332. I'm so close.
You could probably feed a village with the salt I have about that, but that's okay.
Still
So
working on The Witcher 3.
Put
though.
in like
I know. Put in any more. Put in any
1,000 more hours. Into
any
Dave
amount of
Taylor,
effort,
and
and
then
maybe
you
I'd
can
be
get on my level.
Exactly. All right, so that's my topic. It was
Run
good,
the
real
raid and run the
straightforward.
Challenge of Elders every week like I do.
I'm too
Oh,
consumed with Overwatch, and Thomas wanted to talk about it, so I had nothing left.
Don't get any excitement about Battlefield 1 being a competitive game. Not
Oh,
that
no.
you necessarily are, because every time a Battlefield game comes out, the Battlefield community is like, oh, look, DICE is making it with competitive play in mind this time. So
It's
we're
gonna be great.
We're going to be the new Counter-Strike, all right? So everybody
No.
listen up.
I might have given you the wrong impression in the sense that I thought that was an esport game. No. I just mean that it'll be because Call of Duty's awful now. I'll just shift to Battlefield.
But COD 4 remastered.
I'm not buying Infinite War
COD
just for
4
I'll,
remastered.
you know, a year from now,
COD
if
4
not
remastered.
sooner, they're gonna sell it separately.
So
I'll
I
buy
saw
it then.
what we could do.
Okay.
Is I saw they're releasing the Modern Warfare trilogy remastered on old consoles,
And-
so we could
and-
bust out the 360s.
I
and
could,
play-
yeah, I could get my 360 back. That would make sense. But yeah, that was my topic. Easy peasy.
The goal is one day they make that game backwards compatible, and then you can play that on Xbox One,
Which they probably
the
will at some
remastered
point.
version.
But I'll just wait for it to be sold
Hashtag
separately.
Life goals. When's
Hashtag
PlayStation
boring.
getting backwards compatibility?
Huh? We already have
Probably
backwards
next
compatibility.
week. Yeah, not through Gaikai.
Not where you had to pay for it. All right, so my game, or my topic, is something I stumbled into today.
Here we go.
And
Did you stub your
it's
toe?
kind of something that I've been thinking about for a while. And I don't really know where to go with it, but it's just like this weird idea.
You should probably
of,
stay
like,
here.
I've been
You shouldn't go
reading
anywhere.
game reviews lately, and the whole time I'm reading them, I've thought, this is really stupid.
Yeah.
I hate everything they're writing. These people are idiots.
Okay.
And then they just slap some stupid number like a 9 out of 10 after they bash the game. Or either like they talked about how bad the game is, and then like, actually, it's really good, and I'm giving it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
And so I've thought of, like, I've started comparing gaming reviews to movie reviews, in that I see movie reviews from the quote-unquote like top critics, and they're bashing like
Every
Dark
Will Ferrell
Knight.
movie.
Like, they bash
All the
Dark
time.
Knight and say like, this Dark Knight movie is crap, and I'm not gonna, like, nobody should see it. And then
Right.
the Dark Knight's amazing.
Like how everyone hated Batman versus Superman. Or rather, all the critics hated Batman versus Superman, but then everyone I talked to that saw it seemed to really like the movie, and I was very confused.
Angry Joe said it was crap, so it's crap.
Everything that I saw or people talked to said it was.
I had a lot of people that said it was a perfectly fine movie. I never saw it, but
And
I'll ask you a question off.
And
off
so
camera.
I've
Okay.
started basically, and I mean, I've done this. I've never bought a game specifically because I've read some amazing review for it.
right.
Like, I go and see the movies that I want because I want to see the movies. I buy the games that I want because,
You don't sit there and read Rotten Tomatoes and say
Yeah.
that one got a 90%. I guess I'll see that today.
yeah. But I've always been curious as to like this, and I don't think we need to get deep into. I thought the scaling of game reviews has been like flawed and stupid for a really long time.
Okay.
But there was like this one specific video that people have been quoting where this guy cherry picked 4 or 5 really bad game reviews, and they're very awful. Like the Polygon's Doom video review, they picked like, who's never touched a game controller? Here, you play Doom. Like, it is terrible. And the Pokemon review where the guy says there's too many HMs and there's too much water. Like,
That one's really weird. That's pretty weird.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
it's the same game for 10, like 15, 20 years.
I
It's the
thought I
20-year
read.
anniversary,
I thought
right?
I read that the region's supposed to be
10
like Hawaii or something like
Well,
that.
the new
too.
one. This isn't. This was.
Oh,
a
this
review
wasn't
for-
the new.
This was a review for an old one.
Okay. That's still weird, but I was just thinking it was the new one. I was like, isn't it supposed to be like Hawaii?
And so I agree that gaming journal, like, people are saying gaming journalism completely flawed and completely stupid, which I disagree with, in that there's a lot of really good game journalists that do really good, break really good stories.
Yeah.
He specifically bashes Kotaku a lot, and there's like one guy at Kotaku who has broken a lot of Destiny news, and like everything he's broken has been accurate. And like I can't complain. Like Jason Schreier or Schreier, or whatever his
Schreier, I
name
think it
is.
is.
Like
Schreier?
like
Jason Schreier.
he's like 2 or 3 weeks ahead of every other Destiny writer with like getting information out of
And it's
Bungie.
always pretty funny.
Always right. And so like there's people who are very good journalists and do very good jobs, but I've just had problems with game reviews in general for a while, and I made the comment to you. Showed
Georgia.
You've shared a couple Angry Joe videos lately, and I stumbled across the Angry Joe Overwatch review today. And like the way he, and I don't know if this is just necessarily his format where he goes pretty deep on his videos, but he has the ability to, compared to journalists. I mean, they don't want to write 10, 30-page essays about their each game. They can't do that. They have to make them readable and to the average person.
Yeah.
But like when the guy's name is Angry Joe and like the whole point of his show was to just like yell at
Get
games.
pissed off.
And when I'm saying this guy is the best reviewer going right now,
Yeah.
like I think there is some kind of problem in the system.
Yeah, I think the bigger thing is just that Angry Joe's name, like, can kind of hold him back from new people because
No, yeah.
I've been watching Angry Joe for years, and
I mean, yeah.
it hasn't been. I mean, for a long time, he hasn't been like any kind of. I can't remember a time where it was like a character like bashing games. He's all his reviews, as far as I can remember, and they've gotten better over time, but they've always been him trying to like, bring everything out and say like, okay, this is, very matter of fact. This is how the game works. This is the classes. This is how this works, and blah, 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 blah for like
For everything.
20, 30 minutes. And then at the end kind of summarizes up how he feels, but makes it very obvious that it's how he feels about the game, and you make your own decision.
Yeah.
Unless it has shitty microtransactions. He really hates microtransactions.
Well, I mean, everyone should.
He
hate
did go off
microtransactions.
pretty hard about the
Loot
loot
boxes.
boxes.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part about like having that opinion, I guess, is the way I'm trying to figure a better word, but I guess that's the best word you can come up with. The hard part about having that kind of opinion about games journalism is that it is also an opinionated industry, because even like Angry Joe's reviews, like he may give you a lot of context and a lot of here's X, here's Y, here's Z. These are things that are in the game. These are the pros and cons of each of them. And then at the end of the review, though, he still gives, this is basically why I feel the game deserves a 5 out of 10, or why I feel the game deserves a 7 out of 10. Because at the end of the day, even the reviewers on the sites, regardless of the fact that they might have had help with the review or something like that, those numbers are just their opinion.
Yeah.
Just like any movie critic.
And so I guess
Which is why I think you feel, why it's like, I don't know if I care, right? Because it's still like, just like, back when Ebert and Roper were a big thing, I didn't necessarily hang on their every word if I was going to go see that movie tonight or not. I just went and saw it, and then read it later and was like, oh, they didn't like it. That's weird.
So I guess maybe like one thing that is like, we take these gaming websites and articles and place like
Super serious.
as like, this is Polygon, like this is all of Polygon's review of Overwatch. This is
Yeah.
all of Polygon's review of Doom.
Yeah, it's
When-
Polygon's
when
review,
it's actually
not Ben Kuchera's
one
review or
one
Arthur Geis's
individual
review.
person's review
Yeah.
of, or maybe, I mean, sometimes they'll have two people on a game.
Uh-huh.
Depending on the game, I would say.
But
yeah.
like, this is one person or two persons' personal reviews and thoughts about the game. And I think maybe that's just something that people don't necessarily think about, and I would say I'm guilty about that. Of like, when I see, you go to Metacritic and you see like just this list of
Here's
Polygon,
yeah.
Kotaku, Game
Yeah.
Informer, GameSpot, and like see all these names that carry weight, they carry meaning. Like whatever
People
you
read these
personally
things
think
daily.
about
Yeah.
like, individual places, those names do carry meaning and weight behind it. When really it's one individual person at those companies' personal opinion on what those games are.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I would still say
Yeah.
you're onto something, though, because, well, or at least people have, are onto something in the sense that there does need to be something done around the fact that people, it's really hard to kind of separate those two. It's really hard to kind of look at these sites in general and say, this is Polygon's review versus this is a person's review. Because, they are important to us. They are things that help us decide about whether or not I'm going to pre-order this game, or whether or not my pre-order is going to stay, or whether or not I'll pick it up next week or something like that. And on top of that, there's a lot of people that view the games differently around, like, maybe they are really just focused on, is the art good? Does it look good to play? And then there's other people that are more focused on, it could be pixel art for all I care, or like legitimately 8-bit and play like Call of Duty and I'll be happy, kind of a thing. Like, it's so hard to remove what you want to get out of that review from what's really in the review.
Right.
Yeah.
There's such a wide gamut of
Yeah, that's a good
what
one. Yeah.
people's expectations are from any given game.
Yeah.
So, like, one of the things that isn't a to go back to the Angry Joe Overwatch review, one of the things that I don't necessarily
Agree with.
knock Angry Joe for, but I disagree with his main opinion, or a lot of his opinions on Overwatch, because we are coming, like, I'm going into it with a different expectation than he is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
One of his complaints is that you have to be good at everything to be able to play the game, and he wants to just play, one or two characters that he likes to play.
Like League or something.
Right. Well, I mean, I would argue that League, you can't, like, even in professional teams, you have to have a pretty wide
Set of skills.
set of champions that you play. Like, I see that thing that he thinks is a negative, I think is a pro, because I'm looking at it, I'm having a different expectation
Yeah.
of what that game is. And, like, somebody that goes into Uncharted 4 expecting a great story versus somebody that's going into Uncharted 4 expecting competent
Super tight
gameplay
mechanics.
are going to get two totally different things.
Yeah.
Like, every game is, like, excels at this and that and the other. Like, Doom. So many reviewers have come out and said, like, Doom is awesome. Doom is great. We had no expectation for Doom, and it's awesome. Oh, but the multiplayer kind of sucks, and it shouldn't even be there. For me, the whole point of thinking about getting Doom was the multiplayer. So, like,
Yeah.
I'll grab it on a Steam sale and play the campaign, but my expectation of Doom was to
the
get
multiplayer.
a great arena shooter, and that didn't happen.
Whereas-
so, like, no matter how good the story is, Doom is still not a good buy for me.
Yeah,
because
whereas I know
have a
at least
different expectation.
I know one guy who bought Doom solely for the solo campaign.
Right.
He didn't even know it had multiplayer. He says, I don't know if I necessarily believe him about that, but he said he did not care at least for the multiplayer. He just wanted to play the story because he liked the original so much, and he liked some of the other games, Doom 2 and Doom 3, maybe not Doom 3, but he liked the other games so much that he wanted to get another one. So it's like that's the exact, you don't know really what people want out of that game. Like, you can't make that assumption. I feel like it's almost like the only way I would really read a review and care what a review says is if it was, like, broken down to the point that, like, the tech sites break down hardware, where it's like a 12-page review of power, efficiency, like they just go balls to the wall in terms of reviewing this piece of hardware. And it's just like people expect that, and they want that information. Like, when a new TV comes out, they want all of the stats. When when new things come out, they want it all. Whereas for the games, it's like, a couple pages.
I've thought if we ever did game reviews, that's how we would do them.
I'm into it. I feel like the only thing I'd really want is, like, here's a review for how it looks. Here's a review for how it plays. Here's a review for the multiplayer.
Right. Well, I mean, you kind of get back to the way video games reviews were in the 90s,
Yeah.
and people complained about it then and said it was terrible.
Because it was so much
Where,
information and you couldn't get anything out of it.
It was literally split. I mean, you had audio, video, gameplay, fun factor.
Yep.
Like, that's what we've done in our reviews.
You would
is
read, like, 6 pages of how's the game.
You talk about each piece, individually, whereas now you read a review. And I think most reviews do go into the different aspects of the game.
They touch on them, and they say, like, here's my opinion of this, and here's why, and then here's my opinion of that, and here's why.
I mean, I think something of an expectation statement at the beginning of the review. Like, if we were gonna do serious reviews of games, like, I would almost want, like, a prologue to every review to say, like, this is my story leading up to the launch of Overwatch. I didn't know anything about it until 2 months. I saw a trailer, thought maybe I'd try out the open beta, played the open beta, loved it.
Yep.
Versus somebody who's like, I followed every single minute and I watched all these changes and I think the changes they made are terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like,
No
that
more
kind of goes,
context.
like, to the Kotaku article about the hero rankings of, like, it's this extremely short article with basically no intro of, like, here it is ranking, like, here's the rankings of the best Overwatch champions from worst to best. And, like, the list just goes, like, it just goes down
There
from
it is.
worst to best, and the article's over.
Yep. No
like,
information for why.
People in the comments are just like, well, what is, like, if you just read that and said, this is Kotaku's list of champions worst to best, at its face, like your initial thoughts are like, oh, is Soldier 76 the absolute worst? I shouldn't be.
I should never be
play that
McCree.
character.
I should never touch McCree with a 10-foot pole.
You should always play
You should-
Soldier 76.
And so, I mean, there are arguments that Soldier 76 is potentially the worst character. I would accept those arguments, but like the list is
He's okay.
extremely flawed. And then the author commented back to one of the comments and like said she was going to like reveal her secret criteria that she withholds, and it was like, I don't even remember, but like the joke was like
Art style,
memes, jokes, and like the last thing on the list was gameplay. And so like she clearly was not, this was clearly not a list based on the actual goodness,
It was just
like
her list.
how well the characters play. It was her personal list of what she thinks, like, this is my least favorite character and this is my, but the article wasn't my list, my personal list of favorite characters from worst to best.
It was, here's the ranking.
And so it was like this hugely misleading article that confused a lot of people, rightly so. And like I was saying, I've seen her list a couple things on Kotaku, and every time I've done it, I've thought that they were like troll articles, like jokes. So like
Whoops.
I couldn't tell if she was just trolling or what the point was, and so maybe but obviously I'm not the only person who was confused or has been confused. And you said you saw comments that you didn't read the article, but you saw a lot of people commenting about this article and saying it was a poor article.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, I don't want to say there needs to be the disclaimer on top of every single gaming journalist article that says,
Yeah.
but like I do like Polygon in that there's a very clear difference between the articles where they're breaking news stories or opinion pieces that have a giant opinion on the top of the articles.
Yeah.
And like they
Just because it's a
people-
review doesn't mean it's not opinion. So yeah, I know it's a hard sell, you know? What do you like? What
I
are
mean,
you going to
there's
expect?
a fine line between. I mean, there's a clear difference between a news story and an opinion piece, but then, I mean, do you solely put gaming reviews in the opinion category, or are they like this weird
Quasi
bastard step middle ground?
Yeah.
Of like,
You know, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I think
I
it's
mean,
hard.
it'd be kind of cool if you could just like have everybody on staff put their 2 cents in at the end.
I actually
Write,
like
3
there's
sentences.
Polygon has some of those articles. At least I don't know. I don't know if I would say
Yeah,
it's
they
just
have-
Polygon, but they have a few that are just like, what's everyone's take on this?
Uh-huh.
Like when the new Pokemon games got announced, I think they did a whole breakdown of who's the starter everyone's going to pick, or stuff
Right.
like that. Like those are fun articles because you get to see like, here's the votes at the end of the day, but here's everyone's opinion about it, right? Like
Uh-huh.
anybody see those new Pokemon legendaries?
Don't care.
I don't think it. No,
I'm
I don't
hype.
think so.
They
I don't think I
released a
have.
new video today. It's hype-tastic.
Oh, I'll have to. I thought I was going to watch that. I haven't watched it yet. I'll check it out.
All right, I think Georgia wants us to stop.
Yeah.
It's time to vote.
I actually want to vote for Ryan. Surprisingly,
I'm not voting for Taylor, so I have to vote for Thomas.
you're allowed to vote for yourself. It's okay.
You're not allowed to vote for yourself.
I won't be
I
offended.
think that's a rule. Vote for Ryan.
Oh yeah.
I should have voted for Taylor.
I think that was a fun topic actually.
Hype. Well, I'm not going to be here next week.
You know,
So
I
you
used
guys
to
are gonna have
have
to
a
decide what
gaming
you're gonna
news
do.
website.
What?
I had a gaming news website for like a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was called Beyond the Pain. It was about smartphones and video games.
Was it sponsored by T-Pain?
No. It was
Beyond T-Pain?
It was sponsored by myself.
Which, if anyone doesn't know, he's been streaming Overwatch, and it's kind of the best stream ever.
Oh my gosh, have you heard? I saw some like choice quotes from it.
Oh, yeah?
Of T-Pain saying like, in the music industry, record labels and other artists will laugh at you if you like say you play games like and try to make you feel like a child or dumb for playing games.
Yeah.
So like almost all of like he's saying like everybody you know that listen like that makes music loves video games, but they're afraid to say it because the industry makes it seem like this bad thing that only losers and nerds do.
Well, I mean, we just saw like a month or two ago that what was the Lupe Fiasco?
Oh, yeah.
played
Street
the
Fighter.
best Street Fighter gate.
Supposedly beat, what was
Yeah.
it, like one of the world champions or something like that?
Daigo,
Oh yeah,
or-
that was an interesting. I'm sure there's still drama about that. I haven't looked into
Yeah,
that for a
it's-
long time.
I thought
But
that was really interesting. I mean, it's almost, especially with rappers, I think it's almost impossible to say like, oh, well, that person doesn't play games. Like even like the person who I would like from their public persona is the
Yeah.
least likely to play games, like Kanye West. Like The Life of Pablo has video game sounds all over it.
you know they're in there somewhere.
He's got Street Fighter noises in his tracks. He wanted to name his next album Turbo Graphics. Like,
Too funny. All I know is T-Pain streams hysterical. Every time I see any sort of little clip from it, I just
yeah,
laugh.
he sings.
He does. I haven't seen any of them singing
Does
yet.
he auto-tune?
Yeah,
himself?
dog. I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched
That would
it.
be amazing. It'd be-
Auto-tune button.
while
Yay.
he's on the stream. Oh my god. I need to watch more of that stream. It's amazing.
Well, let's hope the video didn't corrupt itself.
Yeah.
Adios.